All 22, where we talk about football with a little bit of the culture. And there's a whole lot of football and culture going on. I'm your host, Big Fred Curtis, alongside my co-host, Coach Kelly Dawsey. You know I'm just gonna call you Coach now, right?
Yeah, I was trying to think of something more unique, but it is what it
You
is.
know, it's the simplicity of some nicknames just sticks. You know what I mean? Like we ain't
Yeah,
gotta make it. I don't know. I mean, you could be MAGA Dart, and that's better than You could be
you
MAGA
could be,
Dart,
you could be,
Jackson
you could.
Trump.
Yeah,
So today, as you can imagine, we'll talk a little bit about Jackson Dart, and he just can't help himself going to a pet
he
rally
couldn't.
for the sitting president to introduce him. So we'll dive into that, not necessarily from the political standpoint, but just from the the football and
Yeah,
locker room side. The SEC wants to secede. We never heard that before, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. Kirby Smart thinks the SEC should break away and become its own thing. It's like modern day Confederacy, I guess. But after three straight Big Ten titles, is it time for that conference to just shut the hell up? So we'll talk a little bit about that. Um, Dive into Lamar Jackson contract extension talks because who would we be if we didn't spend
yeah,
some time
he got to.
on the Baltimore Ravens? And then our initial NFL offseason power rankings. We'll dive into that a little bit. Before we go any further, make sure you like, subscribe, share, the show. Give us 5 stars. Share it with your homies. Like this video. Subscribe to this video. If you don't, you know who you are. You know what you
Big face.
big face hater. Giants quarterback Jackson Dart. He went to a rally on behalf of the current president of the United States, introduced him, and did the whole spiel talking about it was an honor for him to be up there and introduce the 45th and 47th president of the United States. His teammate, Abdul Carter, was on Twitter and saw a video of Dart introducing the president. And shortly thereafter, Abdul Carter basically said, I thought this was AI. What we doing? Right? That's literally what he said. I guess because he couldn't believe it. I don't.
Yeah,
We'll dive into that. And so then yesterday, I don't know if you saw the comments, but Dart tries to come out and backtrack on it a little bit. The problem with that is it's not really something you can backtrack, right? Like,
mm,
um, look, we talked about this before. The NFL is so great because it's like just wonderful reality television. And it seems like it's given us even more reality television in the off season than previously. Like we almost made it, y'all. It's almost June. 2 more months.
almost.
2 more months. And so thank you, Jackson Dart, for giving us some more to talk about. But that was just one sort of teammate we saw a reaction from. Not to necessarily dive too much into the antics of the political angle with that. Although all the data shows that if you're listening to this, you are more likely than not to disapprove of the current president's um, administration because that's just what most Americans are doing right now. That's just fact. You can
Yeah,
argue with your mama on it. Those are just the numbers. Um, what is this second year guy who we still don't know if he's that guy? What is he doing introducing the president of the United States? Like how do you justify this?
I don't know how he's like. How did this happen? Like, as far as Donald, whoever, he specifically didn't reach out to Jackson Dart, but whoever from the administration said, "Oh, okay, we want you to come to this rally and speak or introduce." That's what that's what I've been thinking of. And if the administration, obviously they did reach out and say, "We want you," there has to be some like deeper tie or some type of relationship that was already formed. Whereas, like, okay, we know you support this administration. It's not just that's the team in New York. Like, it's not like it's the Commanders. It's not they're not in Washington. So I'm trying to figure out the relationship. No matter what it is, you voted for the guy, you didn't vote, whatever. The problem is, it's not like you said, we're not getting too political. It's just the fact that even if we were talking about Obama as president or any Democratic nominee, you just don't. as divisive as we are right now, you just don't do it, especially as the quarterback. You can support who you support, but why do you have to do it so loud?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and it's still, I'm not even talking about politics because you're in a locker room where people have, they like different, they have different sexual orientations, political affiliations, so forth and so on. That's not the issue. It's, I'm the quarterback. I'm supposed to galvanize and bring the team together. They look at me to bring the team together. So no matter our opposing views, I don't want to be divisive. And you're supporting loudly the sitting president who pretty much is divisive. So as a lock, this is a locker room problem, or could become a locker room problem, especially with a new coach. Like everything is new. He's essentially new, second year guy, haven't proven himself yet, but new culture, new coach, trying to establish his culture. But now you got the quarterback who, there's not in my playing days, we didn't talk about any of this stuff. I don't know what the NFL guys do. I do not think they talk about who they vote for. It's just not what it's just not what they do in the locker room.
Yeah.
So for you to outwardly, come out basically, hey, I support this guy, cool, but I don't understand what made him do it. And I think it's gonna be, I'm just thinking about Abdul Carter. I'm just thinking about, Andrew Thomas or whoever is on that offensive line, you know, Jackson Dart's not playing well, or they got pissed off at him during the week, and they're like, "Hey, I'm just not gonna block for this guy on this play." I hope that doesn't happen. I'm not wishing that, but that can become a thing just because if most of these guys are not in support of this administration, they know you are because it's harming their self interest or what they truly care about. I can see how they can look at you a certain way.
Yeah, man, it's a lose-lose situation, and I don't know who's in his
Yeah.
camp or who is giving him advice, if anybody is giving him advice. But you highlighted, you made the connection or the statement rather. Um, this is probably a non-story, or at least not as big of a story, if it's anyone other than the quarterback. We talk about this almost every show somehow, at least in the off season, because there's so much conversation around antics, around banter, around narratives. If there's anybody on any sports team whose
Hmm.
politics should probably remain hidden, it's the quarterback. And we sit here as two black men and say that honestly, because if it's a matter of my politics and where I stand on things impacting my ability to do my job and be a leader of men, respectfully, I'm
Hmm.
gonna keep that hidden because ultimately what my biggest
Yeah.
responsibility is in this regard is to be able to go out and be productive and produce and help my guys with. And I mean, we know Saquon is a trumper, right? It simply just probably just does not have the same effect for a running back
It
as
does.
it does for a quarterback.
It doesn't.
And that just is what it is. And he's got to be smart enough to know that. Number two, you are the quarterback of the New York Football Giants. Now, this team
Yeah.
and this organization has not been good for quite some time, and nevertheless, you still play in the biggest market in the world. You play for one of the most notable
You probably
brands.
still have 5 or 6 primetime games a year, even though you're projected to win seven
They
games.
can go 1-16, and the NFL will still put them on Sunday Night Football to start the season to play the Cowboys.
Mhm.
Like because the eyeballs are just there. Right? I got I, I can't stop dating women from New York and New Jersey, and so therefore I know a bunch of people who are Giants fans, and it's a terrible experience, but they're there, they're
It's
loyal, and you respect
yeah,
it. The brand is just there, and so I think it's twofold. One is just like it's just a stupid decision, but two, it's okay. You are entering your second year, and you still haven't proven a whole lot. Do you really want to block yourself off from other business
mhm,
opportunities, endorsements, by coming out and
yeah,
aligning yourself with this guy that's so divisive? And people might say, "Oh, well, people have done this in the past, and so on and so forth." I'm a student of history. I am telling you this. Like I'm not you, people. Like
yeah,
this is the first president in the modern era in which this would cause this type of division. All right. If we
yeah,
had a if we we were alive. We remember guys in sports and entertainment introducing George W. Bush, or there are plenty of examples you can find on YouTube or social media of guys introducing or shaking hands or saying it's an honor to meet Ronald Reagan or George H.W. Bush or whatever. This is a very unique president. And whether you like him or not, that you cannot reasonably objectively argue with that. This is a very unique time in contemporary American politics. And to make the decision to go out and say, I'm going to introduce him at a campaign event or a non-sanctioned whatever. It wasn't an official White House event, right? I think it's even different if he goes to the White House or if there's an
Hmm.
initiative that is sort of baked in or steeped in the White House support or federal funding. Bro, you just went to something that has no bearing on him in his official capacity as president, and then just wax poetic about how it's such an honor and a privilege to introduce the 45th or 47th president. So that's weird. Number one. Number two, why did you try to start a "Go Big Blue" chant at an event where everyone hates anything that's associated with blue because it's associated with Democrats? So it's like,
Hmm.
even in that, you are encapsulating just how wildly out of touch you are, right? Like, so there's all of that. And then the last one is just like, this is what gets on my nerves sometimes about sports figures, because then Abdul Carter tries to come back after he thought this ish was AI. What we doing, man? It sparks considerable debate, a bunch of videos and conversations on it, and then he follows up and says, "Oh, well, me and JD6 are good. We spoke earlier as men. Y'all can keep y'all narratives." No, sir. No, 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 no.
Bro, you
You
created
you
it.
do not get to do that, because honestly, and look, I don't want to take the time and bash Abdul Carter per se, because the root cause here is Jackson Dart appearing at the event and introducing the president, right? And to veer from that is kind of like you getting in an argument with your spouse, and then because the conversation ends up being about how she felt about what you said, rather than what you actually said. I have a lot of experience there. That's very triggering. And so, like, I don't want to do that to Abdul Carter, but at the same time, this is less of a story if you don't tweet, "I thought this was AI. What are we doing?" So, like, once you open up the avenue for the entire world to even have to discern how you feel about this, you then don't get to come back and say, "Oh, we had a conversation like men. Y'all can keep y'all in there." Bro, do you have his number? You could have called him when you saw the tweet. It's men.
That's the
I don't want
thing.
to hear
Like,
that.
is he made it? Honestly, if he never would have said anything, we like people like you and I, we would have been thinking these things, and it would have been on Get Up and First Take. But it wouldn't. The question would have been, was this a smart move? The end. Like that would have been the headline. It wouldn't have been Giants teammate says such and such. Like now it's bigger because Abdul Carter came out and said something.
Mhm.
Granted, like I said, all the things we talked about in the locker room, all of that stuff could have very well still happened, like as far as the conversation. But Abdul Carter made it worse. And then you try to backtrack and say, we had a conversation. Okay, so why didn't you just pick up the phone? You picked up the phone and tweeted. You could have sent the text. Like, who do you think we? Well, we're not crazy.
They think we
Like
are.
somebody on your team, somebody said, "Nah, bro, you shouldn't have done that," and then you backtrack. So, like, you just can't. I don't know, man. Like, people need to just put their phone down because
Bruh.
they
Bruh.
just put your phone down. Just stay off the internet, or do like me and just laugh in your head and swipe.
Man, that's life changing advice, bro. Just stay off your phone, because like now this is a whole firestorm of a conversation, and it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away, right? They open with the Cowboys and then they go at the Rams. So when they fly back from New York and they're 0-2, and
That's
he
two
and
L's.
he has a terrible showing at SoFi, and Andrew Thomas misses a
Mhm.
block, yes, we then get to write or talk about or record segments about whether or not your politics is causing dissension within the locker room, whether or not it's true or not, because you've opened that up to the public, to be able to explore. And what you really should be focused on, I don't know how in the world you're going out here to political events to introduce a guy that 70% of the country doesn't like. But bro, you about to enter your second year in the league. We've said this
And
over and
this
over again.
fence.
I don't know if this guy is it, and I know the media is fascinated
We don't know.
with elevating him and making it seem like the Giants have a franchise quarterback. I know as much about Jaxson Dart as a starting quarterback as I do about Cam Ward. That is zero.
Mhm. And Jackson Dart is in a much better situation. So don't let Cam, even though Cam Moore was the number one overall pick, he played with nothing.
No.
Jackson Dart had Malik Neighbors before, and now Russell, when he became the starter, Malik Neighbors was injured. But he has Malik Neighbors this year. He has some pieces on the offensive line. He has, solid run game, hopefully. But what they are going to be able to live off of should be a really good
They
defense.
gonna rush that. They gonna rush that
Should
passer.
be a
Oh yeah.
it should be at least a top 10, 12 defense. And if you have a top 12 defense, you can compete. Like you should be in every game at least if you're competent at quarterback
Yeah.
with a top 12 defense. So if they mess around and go 0-2, what's the rest of September like?
Oh, let's find out.
Who are their first four next two opponents?
Yeah, I know they open against the Cowboys. That's an L. And then it's at the Rams. They host the Titans and the Cardinals in back to back. So the NFL really try to help them
Okay.
out there. They try to help out their
They
clown
trying to help 'em
franchise.
out.
They got a chance to honestly rack up. I mean, the schedule is not difficult. Uh,
Mhm.
Cowboys at Rams. They host the Titans and the Cardinals in back to back weeks. Then they go at the Commandos. They host New Orleans. Now this stretch is, I think, where they might fall off a cliff. At Houston, at Philly, Washington, Jacksonville, at Indianapolis. Before December,
Okay.
that include. Ooh, okay, their early stretch after the first two is light, and then it gets crazy. You know their December schedule? San Francisco,
I know it's a lot of NFC East.
San Francisco, at Seattle,
Uh-huh.
Cleveland,
Ooh,
Detroit, at Dallas, and they
so they have
host
the
Philly,
NFC West.
and they host Philly to close the year.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're gonna see what you made
you
of.
better beat up on the Titans, Cardinals, and Saints.
I'm saying what you just listed, I'm hearing 2-4. 2-3, 2-4, whatever.
That's
I think you listed five.
that's the close the season by that point. I mean, Cleveland got a defense; they might get after him. Look, man, I'm just saying, like you, and again to close the loop on this. This is why this just isn't a good look. One, business wise, I just don't know if it hurts you. Two, you got a group of grown men in the locker room
Hmm.
that you need to be winning over, that you need to be showing up for, that need to sort of have a belief in you and your ability to lead them as men in your development, and you're not helping with that. And third of all, hey man, why don't you go watch some tape on the Rams defense? Why don't you go
Yeah.
watch some tape on the Cowboys defense? And you might say, oh yeah, he's watching it. Watch some more. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I want my quarterback to. No, I do know. Scratch that. I want my quarterback to be just totally obsessed with football.
Yeah,
Right?
that's it.
Like,
And we talk about Lamar all the time. We don't know what this man out here doing in
we
these
don't know
streets,
anything about this
and
guy.
I love it. we 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 don't hear from his mouth that he wants to be traded. When that whole situation was going on, we don't know if he actually disliked Harbaugh. He would never say it. I needed to say like that.
Good luck, Giants fans. It's gonna be a rough year. They got a nice little stretch in there. You know what I think though happened, and this is one of the more underrated things, and it might be, why things fell apart for him in Baltimore. Harbaugh is a MAGA guy, uh,
Hmm.
so he probably.
Not for nothing. What do you think Jesse Minter is?
That's a good question. Uh,
I don't know him enough yet.
I don't
I
know him
gotta
enough, but
I gotta
I don't
fill him
think
out.
Jesse Mentor cares about politics.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he cares about politics. And I say that not just because he's the head coach, because I don't know why I'm losing track of this guy's name. Defensive coordinator Anthony. Is it
Weaver.
Weaver? Oh, Weaver
Uh,
vote.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
We will vote. I'm not gonna say which way I think he votes,
Yeah.
but that man,
Yeah.
that man,
That man
he
votes.
gonna sit down from the table. He can tell you everything going on in the country
Mhm.
right now. Jesse Mitchell don't strike me as that. You're like, man, it's all about the ball. All right. Uh,
That's it. That's it.
which I love because I'm glad we ain't got no MAGA head coach here. Actually, we might have one. I don't know, and
Man.
that's how I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. But this the thing. There's MAGA and there's people who vote Republican.
Big difference.
Even if Mentor votes Republican, he doesn't strike me as MAGA.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's what I'm
He a
just
Mitt
so
Romney kind of guy. He
yeah,
a Mitt
yeah,
Romney
yeah.
kind of guy. A little George
It's
Bush.
a
Which
it's a
we're from
difference.
Georgia. We have
Yeah,
friends, mentor, people in our
we
circle
know
who
what's
are
going
Republican
on.
guy. Like that's not the thing. And I think that's the
Yeah,
thing that folks kind of get lost. Is just like, yo, this is whatever spectrum you fall on it. This is different. This political time is
it's
different.
definitely,
Uh, and
definitely.
and and you can't argue with that. Speaking of politics, though, especially within America, good old Kirby Smart. Oh, I know how he votes, if he does vote, but that's a different conversation. Um, all this nonsense is
We know.
coming out about expanding the playoff, going to 24 teams. Even though we just did the 12 team model a couple years ago and it seems to have worked, they made tweaks after this first year. There are folks in other conferences who want to go to 24 teams. Greg Sankey seems adverse about
I don't understand.
about going to 24 teams and so on and so forth. Obviously, I think we both know where we stand on that. That would be incredibly stupid. But we're one of the few
Stupid.
people who think we never needed a playoff in general. Bring back the BCS.
BCS.
Because this sport was never about who wins a freaking national title. It was never about that. It's never about that.
By the way, like, let's say we kept it at 4, which I like 4 because it's like you're competing. Like, if you lose one, you thinking my season might be
No
over.
ice.
Go back to 4, use the BC. I just need the formula back. I don't want to put it in the hands of just people discussing football.
They're worse than the computers.
That's what I'm saying. Give me the computers because there's clear metrics. You have, if I'm not mistaken, it was 3 metrics that they used, right? And one of them were actually humans. I think they used the AP or the coaches poll, and then something else. I can't remember exactly, but I like that it's not just humans. Well, I liked that it wasn't just humans. It was like a few metrics. Now it doesn't seem biased. Now we can't get around like the SEC and the just certain conferences is gonna always be biased. But whatever.
We
We don't know anything.
we got a sport that we absolutely love that managed to become a behemoth in the span of a century without a play.
Yeah.
And
And we decided to change it.
to blow that up in the span of, I mean, we're going from no playoff to 12, talking about 24 teams in the span of 28 years. Like the first BCS national title game, I think, was 98. Number one, Florida State, and number two, Tennessee, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Maybe
It was played in 99.
played 99, January 99.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, we somehow managed to do just fine with.
What's crazy, before that, there was not a lot of controversy on who was 1 and 2.
He had some shared national titles here and there. Okay, cool. Like
Cool.
Colorado and Georgia Tech both won one year, and Miami and Penn State. Okay, cool. Like, because that wasn't. We do this all the time, and it's kind of important. And I wish there were big wigs. I really wish there were like people who had a say at this, right? Like a Joe Clapp
Yeah.
or a Nick Saban or the ball guy, Josh Pate, right? Like where are the guys who might actually have the ability to change the discourse in this conversation to say, hold on, we are missing the forest for the trees. This is not what this is about. This is not what this has ever been about. Like, we
Mm-mm.
don't, by and large, care about who wins the national title. Respectfully, Indiana had a
Unless it's my team.
unless it's your team, right? But Indiana had a fantastic year. And if it were 1995 instead of 2025, going 12-0 and winning the Rose Bowl would still be an accomplishment that that entire fan base would remember forever and would etch into stone and would hang a banner or put into the stands or whatever for, right? Like, and look, I know I'm not naive enough to say we're going back in time because we're not, right? It's too much money involved. But we are trying to make something better that one wasn't broken and needed fixing, and two, we are trying to correct for a premise that never existed to begin with. This is not the internet. It's not the
Yeah.
NBA. It's not baseball,
Mhm.
right? And so
Yeah.
it's in this sort of hyper sort of private equity field world. Oh, what's the best way to include as many teams? Like, this ain't little league.
It's not. That's what I'm saying. Why do every team needs a shot?
They don't.
They don't. They don't. And like you put it perfectly when you compare, obviously football is the same no matter what. But the sport of college football, like back when we were growing up watching college football, it just felt different than anything else. College baseball, you had the College World Series, you know, NBA, March Madness was bigger then
Yeah.
because it was a little bit less teams. I was about to say kids, but the players were actually staying in school more than 1 year, so you got to know the player. Then you had the mid majors, who you have a um McCullum or Lillard, who may shock you the
Yeah,
first
man.
1 or 2 rounds
Yeah.
because they were that good. That's what made college basketball great. Now college football, you're like expanding it. And no, we don't. We watch college football because we like football, yes. But as far as the overall sport, we're looking for a team to dominate, like USC and Texas. We want to see those top two. We want to see a really great game. But we also want to see USC go to Corvallis on a Friday night, and we're like, man, they might lose this game.
My little.
Florida State playing NC State on a Friday. I don't know why they keep doing that, but or Thursday or Friday, I'm always scared to death when they play one of those teams on a Thursday and Friday, no matter what the record is, because that's what college football is or was. But now you can lose 3 games.
You really can.
You can lose 3 games, and you know what Kirby Smart to say? Well, let you play my schedule. See how many games you win. No, you lost 3 games.
We over here talking about expanding to 24 teams because there's some crybabies down in the southeast who thought
Yep.
9-3 Texas and 9-3 Vanderbilt deserved a shot
Yep.
in the playoffs.
Vanderbilt, who got boat race. I can't remember who they played. I don't think they got boat race, but they did lose.
And I'm just like, we have lost the plot. We are losing recipes
Yeah. Yep.
when 9-3 is what you argue about. Like,
Nine and
like
three.
we are old enough to remember when what was it, a 13-0 Auburn got shut out of the
Yeah.
BCS title game because USC and Oklahoma were
That's
undefeated. Right?
yep.
That is college football. Right?
Yes.
Like, like
Yes.
that is the premise of this. You gonna add 24 teams? Oh, I can't wait until the Fox executives and the private equity folks see Ohio State and Michigan play the first Saturday after Thanksgiving, and they rest their starters because they're already in solid playoff positioning. I mean, this is what y'all are. This is what these people are moving towards. This
Yep.
is what they want. And I think like the NFL. We'll talk about them later in terms of reaching a tipping point. I think college football is doing the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think it'll have a little bit of a harder time simply because there's so much sort of cultural cachet around college football, especially where you and I grew up,
Hmm.
right? Like I was talking to one of my homies who lives. He's from Alabama. We go to divinity school together, and we were just having a conversation around sort of cultures and whatnot. And it was me and one of my other homies. She's a black woman, and then and him, and he's a white guy. But he was like, "So what is your culture or your connection on a Saturday?" She asked him, and I was like,
Yeah.
and we connected. We connected
Yeah.
on that,
Yeah.
right? But that is because the 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Central game on a Saturday on CBS meant something. Because if you lost it,
Hmm.
your season could be over. And if you won it,
Yep.
it meant it could catapult you into SEC title contention, whatever. And I think what we are missing at the heart of all this is part of what helped to build up sort of the cultural relevance of college football is the fact that every game mattered. And when you start to
Mhm.
get into Saturday night football or whatever else like not mattering, like honestly, LSU and Ole Miss is going to be great. The outcome really doesn't freaking matter for either of them.
It does not matter. Because for one, it's so early. Two, they can lose. Let's say LSU lost, but then they won the rest of. Well, let's say they won three straight. They lost another one. All right, they're sitting at 10-2. They're in the
They're in the
playoff.
playoff. Period.
They're in the playoff,
Period.
and it's like kudos to them because it's the system. But I'm just going back to like I'm in high school, '06, like '07. Tim Tebow wins the Heisman. '08, Florida. No, I think Florida wins, and then Alabama wins, and then I can't remember 2010, but just
Auburn.
all of those years, Auburn won 2010, and then Bama just run. They kept winning. They won two straight. Then Florida State, and it's like I remember that off the top of my head, but I also remember some close games, some SEC battles, where it was like that LSU Florida game meant something.
Yeah.
Like it was early, but it meant something. That Florida Tennessee game, Tennessee was kind of down then, but it meant
Yeah, all
something.
missed.
Yep. So that's that's what we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
The rivalries, they mean something to the fans, like the core fans of those teams, but as far as the overall sport, I don't too much care for Florida LSU or, you know, LSU whoever, even the Egg Bowl, like who cares?
Honestly, I've seen this in my viewing habits the last 2 years. I'm not gonna lie. I'm much more apt to do things on Saturdays now than I was
Yeah,
before the playoff.
yeah.
Um, I don't know if you've seen that in your life, but like I vividly remember before the 12 team, like no, like Penn State and Oregon is coming on. Like someone's getting
Hmm.
eliminated from from like I missed that game a couple years ago because I was like I'll catch the rerun. It doesn't matter. They'll probably play again in the Big Ten title game. And you know what? Penn State could lose both of those and still make the playoff.
Yeah, I'm more of a last two seasons, even though my Seminoles suck. I'm like, as long as I watch them, I'm good. Like, and it's not. It's just because of where the sport is headed.
Yeah.
They don't. The games don't mean as much. They just don't, and it sucks.
It's so like
I
like
see you shake your head because it's like where I'm used to. Like, I want to turn on the TV. I'm not a big game day guy. I tune in. I don't like pregame stuff.
me neither.
I've heard it all week.
Yeah.
I know what's
Yeah.
happening. I know the matchups. I want to turn. I do like to see Corso puts. I like to see them make their picks. I will literally turn to ESPN at 11:55, watch the picks. Bam, 12 o'clock game, and I used to sit right there on this couch all day
Whole day.
and be content
The
with it.
whole day.
But now I'm like, when does Florida State play? Bet they played on a Friday. Get this loss out the way, so I don't have to worry about it Saturday.
Let Virginia wax.
That's that's how I felt last year. Okay, bet. No, you're not about to worry me on my Saturday. I'm glad y'all lost already.
It's like the NFL.
Yeah, so it's like if when just like the NFL, Ravens play on a Thursday, Ravens play at 1 o'clock. Please play early so we can get this out the way and I can enjoy the rest of my
Oh
day.
yeah. Bro, I
But
plan dates.
now it
Like if the Ravens play on Thursday, I'm like, all right, I can go somewhere. You wanna go somewhere on
yeah,
Sunday, huh? Or you want like yeah, I don't know. I
yeah,
said although I was looking, I say all this. But Georgia, Florida is on Halloween this year. That's gonna be great.
it is gonna be crazy.
Down in Jackson. That's gonna be
Crazy.
crazy. Some people going to jail that night. All right. Speaking of Georgia, Kirby Smart basically saying quote. I said this for a long time to our president. I've been a huge advocate that if we can't find rules that everybody plays by, then we should play our own. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid to break away and say that our conference is strong enough to go out and play. Now, aside from this being very Jefferson Davis-esque, um, what tree is
What does that mean
what?
though?
I mean, I guess it means the SEC saying, okay, we're gonna go out and develop our own super league and only play each other, then build out our own playoff. I'm not sure how that works, but hey, bro, the Big Ten has won the last three national titles. I don't understand like what this means and what tree's barking up here.
But what does he mean by if everybody can't play the same rules? Does that mean non-conference games? Does that mean you? I don't understand what he's saying. Like, what is your gripe?
I think his challenge is, and this is just based off sort of what I've read, um, that there seems to be a contingent of SEC schools
Mhm.
that are for increasing the number of teams in the play. Um,
Okay.
but the SEC, I'm sorry, the SEC is against the model at the time. So SEC doesn't want more teams in the
The
playoff.
Big Ten wants to
The Big
expand.
Ten, ACC, Big 12, and Notre Dame want to expand. It's
That makes sense for on their
and it
part.
makes sense on their part, mind you. The conference that has won the last three national titles, saying they want to expand, is in much better
Hmm.
situation and stance to me, at least from a public perception, than the
Yeah, yeah,
conference
yeah.
who doesn't want to expand and seems to be living in the past myth of dominance. Um,
Yes. And I think it's not just, yes, they're living in a past myth of dominance because they feel like they're still going off name. They're still going off brand names. Like, I I vividly remember, like, with Texas A&M, they didn't play a team who had a above 500 conference record last year until they played
that's
Texas,
crazy.
and they got beat by Texas twice. So when we just think about the brand name, don't tell me I had to play Florida, Missouri, Kentucky, Mississippi State, um, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. Don't tell me you had to play these teams when they were mediocre.
We do not care.
But when you play Ole Miss, you take a L. Just throwing a team. Like, if you're taking those top teams and you say, okay, I played four of the top six teams in the conference and I lost three games, now you have a better argument, but at the end of the day, you lost three games.
Exactly. Period.
So it really doesn't matter. Just beat who's on your schedule. You took that job. You're in that conference. It's not a everybody playing, even the playing field, whatever Kirby's trying to say. It's win your games and you're in the playoff. You can't you can't lose more than two games and think you deserve to be in. Now you can get voted in, but don't think you deserve to be in just because you play in the conference in the South. That's what I don't like. Because who did you lose to, for one? And look at their opponent record, and it's a lot more nuance to it than, hey, I lost to Florida. That's a rivalry game. No, Florida won 5 games.
We don't care.
We don't care. Like, look at their record. Florida won 5 games. Missouri was not good. Tennessee was not good. So let's stop. Like, take away the name, look at all the advanced stats, and look at record, and tell me, was that a good win or not?
Yeah.
I don't care how many 5, 4 stars they have on the roster. Your record is who you are. Bottom line.
They are who we thought they were. Here's the thing with Georgia. We talked about this extensively, and we'll keep talking about it because it's just going to be the reality for them and a lot of their other SEC mates. And this is the primary reason why I think Kirby Smart is so off base with this, is that the biggest threat um, to your existence isn't the Big Ten. It's not the Big 12. It's not the ACC.
It's your
It's the other teams in your conference who have oil money when you
Yes.
have lawyer money.
Yes.
Um, and I'm gonna
Yep.
keep beating the drum on this because we're just gonna see this become more of the case over the next few years. This is why Alabama as a program is in trouble. It's why Georgia's gonna find themselves in trouble. They don't. This is why he's arguing for them to break away, for there to be sort of a
Yes.
standard of rules and spending and a cap on spending, because Kirby knows he can't compete with oil money at LSU and A&M and Texas Tech, right? Uh, Alabama.
People aren't just a bit. I'm sorry to cut you off, but before it was, you know what? I want to go play for Nick Saban. I want to go play for Kirby Smart because he's going to prepare me. I know if I'm a defender in a Kirby Smart defense and I'm a starter, you just write my ticket. I'm getting drafted.
Mhm.
Kids, for one, for better or for worse, whether you like it or not, they want a bag. And I can't blame them. 18 years old, they probably come from little to nothing. I need to set myself up.
It's a generation defining moment.
And yes, generation defining. We're talking about, I'm gonna quote, I'm put low tier in quotes, like a 4-star recruit making 600 grand a year. Like I know people in my family who never saw that in their
Never
lifetime,
touched
and
it
they've been
their whole
working
life.
for 30
Yes,
years. So
yes.
you're talking about that. I don't. That kid doesn't care what Kirby Smart has done, and Texas can go pay Cam Coleman double what Auburn paid him. I don't know why he went to Auburn in the first place,
Facts.
but I can pull you away because I can just write you that or money. Texas A&M, they got good coach. You're gonna see they're not going anywhere. Now they need to prove in some areas, but as far as who they can attract, Texas Tech came out of nowhere.
That
But
triangle
we
keep
know
going.
why. It's gonna keep going. And then you're gonna hear the only people you're gonna hear complain are the other SEC
Mm-hmm.
folks. Because now they're like, man, Texas Tech only good because they can pay anybody they want.
Uh,
Well, have you been
uh,
now the playing field is even because before it was I'm going to go play for the SEC because the SEC plus the under the table money. Now it's you know what? You can pay me a bag. Hey, you got me, coach.
it's like it's one of those things. I think I'm not sure who said it. It might have been Sark or I think Dusty May, head coach in Michigan, who just won a national championship. He's like, recruiting's easy now. I used to have to hop on these
It's
small planes and go to the middle
yeah,
of nowhere in between ice storms and get back and say hello to a recruit and meet the family and go back and coach. He's like, now it's a Zoom call. How much money you got?
that's it. But bruh, from a fan standpoint, okay, I hate it and love it because the traditional powerhouses was just always at the top.
Always.
But I do like that it's more spread out because it's like you can't just go on. It's what have you done for me lately? What can you do for me right now? Kirby, you haven't won one since what 2022. Granted,
Yeah.
that's not a while ago, but it's gonna become like when Georgia gonna win another one
Oh, it's coming.
because 21-22 was so easy, and now it has like NIL has expanded, and you're just gonna see. And we haven't done a deep dive in this. Let's say Texas Tech win next year. I'm not surprised.
No,
I'm just throwing that out there, but I'm like, whoever wins the national title is going to be up there as far as spending. Indiana, outlier. Outlier this past
but
year.
they spend some
They
money.
great coach. They still spent money though. If you don't spend money, you don't have a
You
shot.
don't. You don't.
And for these SEC schools, especially like you said, the Georgias, the Alabamas, they might not be in contention of winning. You may make the playoff, but we know if you're a contender to win it all or not.
There was never a point last year, I think. Tell me if I'm wrong or if this is sort of revision this history. There was never a point last year where I thought Georgia was an actual national title contender.
Mm-mm.
They were never not good enough,
Especially early
especially
because
early.
their defense was awful.
Yeah. Like they were never not good enough to not have included in a playoff projection. But there was also never a point where I'm like, yeah, that team's gonna win a national title. Never.
Yep.
Um,
Nope.
and I think part of a huge portion of this has to do with Indiana. These coaches see Indiana win a national title,
Uh-huh. They hate
and
it.
they hate it. It's grinding their gears. That's one. Two, low key, and this is one of the more underrated things. Watch Vanderbilt have a good year this year. That's gonna start driving these SEC coaches crazy as well
Yeah.
because there's
Hmm.
more. There's an endless array of just legacy money at Vanderbilt. I mean, look who
Yeah.
it's named after, right? Like
Yeah.
it. I don't think it's a surprise we've seen Vanderbilt be this consistently good. Short time frame, of course, all right, but be this consistently good now that we've got the
And they got
NIL.
number quarterback in the nation from Georgia. They stole him.
Now, watch Vanderbilt make the playoff this year, and then I want to see these conversations still be had. Kirby, your issue is not with these other conferences.
It's not.
You
It's not,
you
brother.
don't got the same money that some of these other teams in your own conference have.
He, but he knows that. But the comp Kirby is good because he's shaping the conversation how he wants
That's
to.
fair.
Like he knows what, yeah, he knows who the real enemy is. And he's just creating the narrative because the Georgia fans are going to eat it up until you have a civil conversation and have to think logically and come to grips with that's not the enemy, bro. Your own conference is the enemy. Oh, the teams in this
Yeah.
conference.
The funny thing is though, like, and this is why I'm enjoying a little bit watching the SEC. I don't want to say fall apart. That would be a little too
Yeah, yeah,
hyperbolic.
yeah.
But because if anybody was in position to lead and set an example for college football in the NCAA about what should have happened in the early to mid part of the last decade of the 2010s, it was the SEC. When you were rattling off 7 national titles in a row, that's when you should have went to the NCAA. That's when you should have went to Congress and say, "Hey, we are bringing in billions upon billions of dollars. These guys deserve some of it." They were in a prime position to do that, to set
Yeah.
the tone, to lead the way, to establish what this looked like. And you know what they did? They enriched themselves. The coaches got more money. The executives got more shoe deals. They enriched the
That's
advertising
it.
platform. So I don't want to hear any of them. Honestly, I love Nick Saban. I don't want to hear a flying flip word what he has to say about NIL either. Because him more than anybody over the past 20 years could have led the charge. If Nick Saban would have came up and said in 2016, we need to pay these guys, this is how we need to do it, that would have happened. And
Hmm.
I don't think that's me being like, oh no, like you had to. Did, did y'all see them Alabama teams back then?
Bro, they were I saw some clips. I saw some clips of like the 2012 defense.
Man,
Bruh,
man,
you can't do anything.
nothing.
And all teams wanted to do then was run the ball, and they kept trying to run the ball, and they just couldn't.
Couldn't, bro.
But I remember that defense, like for the first, like they were scoring a touchdown a game or something crazy.
Crazy.
It was sick.
They had twos. They had twos and threes
Yeah.
being first round picks,
Uh-huh.
right? They had twos and threes being first round picks. And that was always the difference. It's just like you weren't going to compete with Alabama, Georgia, Clemson because their twos and their threes were just better than, right? Now,
Yeah.
by and large, and we talked about this, with the exception of some Big Ten schools, SEC still pound for pound got the better ones there. You talk
Yeah.
about starters. I'm taking Georgia and Alabama and Texas
Yeah.
over other teams,
Loaded with five and
but
fours.
it's a
So,
violent sport, and you're not going to get to November with all your ones. It is impossible. There's a car crash every play, and when you can't just replenish those ones with twos and threes, who are elite NFL prospects anymore, it kind of changes the game. It's going to be interesting for them to sort of navigate some of this. On the flip side, you mentioned this right in terms of schedules, because Steve Sarkisian came out and had to run his mouth last week, uh,
hmm.
making headlines, torching Texas Tech strength of schedule, saying, "Oh, if they played in our conference, they wouldn't have as good of a record or whatever." Um, and so Texas Tech, ever the chip on their shoulder. I love it. I'm starting to really root for this program, man. I'm not gonna
Me
lie.
too.
I've
Me
seen a
too.
couple Cody Campbell interviews. I know Cody Campbell's politics. I do not care. Um, they got the chip on the shoulder. It's like the new kid on the block. I mess with it. Joey McGuire, head coach of the Red Raiders, comes back and says, "We would love to play Texas." He said on Thursday. So McGuire offers to buy out opening games they have with Texas State and Abilene
All
Christian
that
again
to
because they
put,
got money
yeah, to put Texas on the
to
schedule.
put Texas on the schedule. Cody Campbell said, "I will
Oh,
pay to buy out these two games in September, and y'all can come to Lubbock."
yo,
If that ain't a bluff,
that's some big. You know what?
that's some big. That's some cold.
Yo, but like if a team put it on a table like that and you deny it, now how did that? That's
You look
crazy.
like Drake.
That is
I mean,
crazy.
I don't know how real this is, but if you Texas, you gotta go play this game,
You
right?
almost got to. If it's real, yeah. You got me looking it up.
Man.
No, I'm seeing it everywhere. It's
Oh, it's everywhere.
said Jordan McGuire said he's called.
And I'll do you one better. Cody hit up Stephen Jones over at the Cowboys because he know y'all some wusses. I can't say the word I want to say. I'm a Christian. I'm a preacher. He know y'all some wusses. So Cody went up and called Stephen and said, "Hey, just so you know, let's have this conversation about playing this game at Jerry's World because we know them wusses ain't gonna come to Lubbock." Yo. So they already had the conversation about playing the game in Dallas.
Jordan McGuire said, I said, there's no way they're talking about us because Sark's a pretty tough guy. I would think if he was talking about us, he'd call us out. They can come to Lubbock and we can figure out if their twos and threes can win this conference.
Man,
I love it.
man.
He might be my favorite coach right now.
Hey, they
Him and Sig,
Texas has always had
that is crazy.
man. They won't do it.
They
They
won't.
won't do it. But because I tell you this, because Texas opens against Texas State before they host Ohio State. All right. You could
Hmm.
host Tech. You could play Texas Tech at Jerry's World. You could host Ohio State. The rest of their schedule, the next week after that, UT San Antonio. That's a win. Um, this big bad SEC slate. I don't think it's as difficult as you want to make it out to be. At Tennessee, they got the Red River. What they call it, a rivalry now. It was a shootout when we
Rivalry.
were kids, but
Shoot. Yeah.
you can't call things a shootout anymore. Um, Florida, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. They don't leave the state of Texas the entire month of October. So there's that. At Missouri, at LSU, that's probably an L. They host Arkansas before they go beat up on Texas A&M again. I'm just saying, man. Hey, Sark. First, no, well, two things there. One, I always notice when teams bring in coaches who have sufficient head coaching experience to be coordinators after a disappointing year, because to me, that signals that the athletic director is like, okay, if this has any hint of going off the rails, your interim replacement is here. And do you know who I think could probably be a really good SEC head coach in the NIL era?
Oh.
Will Muschamp.
Oh yeah.
If he doesn't have to worry about recruiting, I mean, he's always been a good X's and O's guys. He overachieved at
He
Mississippi
didn't
State.
recruit well at
He
Florida.
didn't recruit well at Florida, but they still were competitive. They won games. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Sark is going to be on the hot seat. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But with that talent, with the Manning at quarterback, and with the NIL that he has, um, don't be surprised if you don't see Will Muschamp be an interim head coach sooner or later. Let's shift gears a little bit before we close out. Lamar Jackson hinted at contract extension talks during a presser at Ravens camp the other day. He basically said nothing. He said, "I love Baltimore."
Per
This
usual.
is what this guy does. I mean, it's actually pretty inspirational to me. Like, I've been looking at Lamar, I'm like, damn, I talk too much to everybody. Let
Yeah.
me just shut the hell up. Uh, he said, "I love Baltimore, and I'm here in Baltimore long term, and I want to keep the contract talk between me and Eric, essentially." And that was it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else there is.
Yeah.
And
That's all it
that's all
is.
there.
He doesn't have an agent. You talk to Eric whenever he talks to him, and he's like, "I want to get this done. When it gets done, y'all will know." Like even when the trade talks were happening, the Ravens were never going to
No,
trade Lamar
that was
Jackson.
never a possibility ever.
They it was never a possibility. They had to do their little thing that they did, but it wasn't going to happen. I I truly NFL is full of surprises. I cannot see Lamar Jackson in another uniform. I just can't. I don't know what can like truly go wrong for him to be like 'cause he's that type of guy where he's like he's going to see himself as a failure if he doesn't get it done
Yeah,
here and have to move on somewhere
yeah.
else. Like that's the type of guy he is. So I think it'll get done. I don't know if it gets done like during training camp this year or whatever, but obviously if it doesn't get done by the end of training camp, it's not going to get done through the season because he's not going to negotiate throughout the season. But the extension is going to get done.
The extension's gonna get done. He'll be here. I mean, I think for me, it's one of those things to where, look, I know the organization has its philosophy. Steve Bisciotti's a great owner. EDC is decent at managing the cap and roster management flexibility. There's still some things to be determined or seen, but whatever. I guess for me, part of it is like, all right, he's got the no tag clause. You can't give him the franchise tag, and you're
Hmm.
not trading him. And you cannot take the chance of him becoming an unrestricted free agent
Mm,
because there are
I
tons of
can't.
teams out there that will blow whatever out in the water to try to get him. So it's kind of like, all right, what are you waiting on? Like, I mean, we know who's in charge here, and like that's okay. Like I think there's this element of like NFL front offices and ownership because these guys, are who they are, right? You don't get to be able to own an NFL team without, feeling like you're always in control of negotiations and strong arming others and being shrewd at business and negotiations and so on and so forth. Hey man, um, he is the franchise,
Yeah,
like
literally.
literally.
Before 8, Flacco wasn't the
That's right.
franchise. It was Ray and Ed, and like 8
It,
is who you think about when you think about the
that was
Ravens.
a generational run that will never be replicated. You
Hmm.
cannot come up with Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Jonathan Ogden, Terrell Suggs, Marshall Yonda again
Yeah,
in
that
one.
was
Like,
crazy, bro.
like,
That was
like,
nuts.
which Ozzie Newsome is just a god in that regard. He's like, give him the money so you can put this to bed, so that we can move on,
That's
so
it.
that we can focus on the
Mhm.
season. Um, yeah. Anyway, that's all that's really there. I think part of it for me is like I wish this would get done so it can stop being a point of conversation in the national media. He's not
Mhm.
going anywhere. You have no options. There is no one you can trade for or draft that will remotely match his production, even in a year in which he was hurt in week 3, and we all knew that and was very clearly the case. He's still
Yeah.
Lamar Magic. He still almost willed you to the postseason, if not for your utterly
Glad he did
historically terrible assistant coach and defensive coordinator. Like,
it.
um,
Blessing in disguise,
blessing
brother.
in disguise. Tyler Loop, you are a goat. Let me buy you a crab cake or something, good brother. Um, last little hint here: NFL power rankings are our initial NFL power rankings. I think we'll save the bottom for next week and just roll through kind of the maybe we'll say let's top 10. Maybe the top 10.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll
Um,
go top 10.
who's your favorite to win it all right now?
I'm not gonna be a homer. I'm going with the Rams.
Mm,
I like what they did on defense. Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie. Corner was like that was a weak spot on their overall team, but especially their defense. They couldn't stop anybody late. I think if they had those two guys last year, they probably go on to beat
yeah,
Seattle. Like that was a real weak point on their team. So I got the Rams. Matthew Stafford doesn't look like he lost a step at all. Like he's still, if he can be protected and he still have Puka, he still has Devontae Adams. They can run the ball pretty much. They don't have a dominant run game, but they run the ball when they need to run the ball. That Sean McVay, Matt Stafford combo, I think I think they should be the favorites entering. Now, will they win it? We'll see how the season goes, but I got them as my number one.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. They're not too off from me. I'm gonna do my first three since I'm sure there'll be a little bit of overlap. I got the Eagles at number one. I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure why. It's probably a bad way to start the conversation. Um, Regardless of how they've kind of spiraled or flamed out of a postseason
That
last year,
roster's loaded,
they
bro.
just implode. But like AJ Brown will be out of there in probably 3 or 4 days. We're recording this on May 29th. I'm not sure what the return haul will
Oh
be.
yeah, June 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the return haul will be from the Patriots, but it'll be decent and good enough. Um, and look, Jalen Hurts has had his struggles, so on and so forth. We talked about this at length in one of the previous shows. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, so you got somebody who can do it. Saquon was never going to replicate his 2024 season. You just can't really do that consistently at that position. But still, quality back who can make yards at the catch. Tank Bigsby, Will Shipley, I think are two really solid. I don't know if you can have two backup running backs better than that. And then you get Lane Johnson healthy. Jordan Mailata another year there. Landon Dickerson, the offensive line is still solid. And then mostly for me, it's on the defensive side of the ball. Another year of Quinyon Mitchell. Another year of Cooper DeJean in the secondary. Reek Woolen coming in there and sort of solidifying things there. And then they still have that menace in Jalen Carter. And then the
Yeah.
schedule, I think, for them
Yeah.
works out in a way that is a little bit easier this year. And I won't go too far into it, read the whole thing. But they host Washington to start out. It's at Tennessee, at Chicago, and then they get the Rams, Jaguars, Panthers, and Cowboys in 4 straight weeks. One of those is an international game. That's their toughest stretch, I think. Later in the
Hmm.
year, they do host Seattle and Houston on Christmas Eve, and back to back. But there's enough of a cushion to start the season, and then some games in there that they should just definitely win in the middle of the year to help them sort of get their footing, which is what we've seen. And look, Nick Sirianni may enter the year on the hot seat. I've seen him do this before too, right? Take a
Yeah.
team to the Super Bowl, underachieve, make some changes, both personnel wise and in coaching, and then come back. At this point, Philly, I don't want to put this. I've got Philly number one because at this point, I think the Eagles are what we expect the Rams to be, which is a
Mm.
team who has done it recently and who has won. And look, I know the Rams won it all, and I think it was 2020, or 20, whatever year that was. Uh, but they've earned the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think Philly is one. Seattle, I got it too, which I actually did not expect to do that. Because there is a part of me that just doesn't think they can replicate all the things that they did well last year. It just kind of struck
Yeah.
lightning there. But I got the Seahawks at two. I got the Rams at three, and to close out my top five, I actually have the Buffalo Bills. I'm actually kind of surprised by that, but my biggest differentiation between them and my number five team, which is the Baltimore Ravens, is that Buffalo gets to play Miami and the New York Jets twice a year each, and the Ravens have to play the Steelers, Bengals. So that's the difference.
Yeah. So I have the some of the same few. I have Seattle at two. I don't think it's going to be difficult to replicate that defense for sure. Just like the NFL teams figure each other
Oh
out,
yeah,
and that defense won't be as dominant. It'll be still be very good, but can we trust Sam Darnold to have a great year again? I don't know. So that's why they're not. That's why they're not my one. So you got Rams one, Seattle two. I have Buffalo three,
hmm,
and I didn't want to put them there because I'm a Buffalo hater.
understood.
But I like the addition of DJ Moore. He's not a true number one, but he's better than anything they already had. I like Bradley Chubb. I like that addition. They're getting the not in his prime Bradley Chubb, just like Nick Bosa not in his prime, but they still have capable pass rushers who have done it. And you need pass rush in, late December and January. So I have them at three. I have the Eagles at four, and then I have Ravens at five. If I knew for a fact what to expect from Jesse Minter, I'm pretty sure I would have them higher.
Yeah.
But we just don't know yet. You know, the roster alone plus Lamar Jackson, what we expect from Jesse Minter and Anthony Weaver and their input on the defense, they got to be top five. But what we don't know what to expect. And I think I texted you this a couple of days ago. I can't remember what link I sent, but literally all we're asking from Jesse Minter is to not blow a double digit
Just
lead.
don't blow.
That's it.
In the fourth
That's
quarter.
it. In the fourth quarter. Because if Harbaugh doesn't do that, man, this team is 14-3 every year.
Every year. Literally.
So that's why we have the same teams, just a little different order, but that's my top five.
Yeah, man. Nah, I feel you. I feel you. A lot of interchangeable stuff here, but at the end of the day, a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, look, and there's always a change. Some changes in terms of playoff teams and a team that goes worst to first, and we'll get a little bit more into that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
later in the year. But I can't remember the last time a team that was not in the top 5 or 6 of preseason favorites ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if a lot of people have money on Seattle winning the Super Bowl last year and being as dominant as they were, but they most certainly were not an out
Yeah,
of
yeah,
nowhere
yeah.
type of guy. And there were plenty of people out there who believed in the Sam Darnold edition in ways that you and I did not. Right? They saw what he did in Minnesota and was like, yeah, he can replicate that in Seattle. And they're in a good position, and that roster is pretty solid as well. To close it out, I got Denver at 6. Healthy Bo Nix getting back in there. That defense is just it's just ridiculous. If Bo Nix doesn't
Yeah.
get hurt, they get to the Super Bowl, and I do think that a Seattle Denver
Yeah.
Super Bowl is an entirely different conversation. So
From a coaching standpoint,
oh,
yeah.
100%.
And then yeah.
We might see them come back. I actually think Chicago is too high. I've got them at 7. I've thought about that since I did this list. They strike me as the prime candidate to go from winning the division, not necessarily to worse. I don't think the bottom will fall out. I think Caleb's too good and Ben Johnson is too good. But do I see them replicating that and winning 12 or 13 games this year? Absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
But I got to eat my words on that. Green Bay at 8, Houston at 9, and Jacksonville at 10. Jacksonville is already kind of this sneaky team that people are saying, like, who's most likely to not make the playoffs? Who did make the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs? And I see Jacksonville kind of popping up on that list. I don't know. I think this iteration of the Jags is here long term. Is here for real. They actually have a quality head coach now, and I think this roster, where it needs to be strong to be competitive consistently, is there. That's my top.
I have Denver at 6. I have Houston at 7. CJ, just don't be terrible, bro. Literally, if CJ goes out 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, that's a 12-win team.
Yeah.
And that's not mind blowing quarterback stats. 3,500 yards. You know, it's not Nico just signed a 2-year extension. You may get Tank Dell back. I don't know, because this would be 2 years removed. So, but bro, you got a generational defense. Just
Just be mediocre.
just be mediocre, man. And Denver, I'm a Bo Nix fan. Like, I don't know why I liked him in college. I never thought he was, you know, like a top prospect or anything. He surprised me last year, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. But I like his game. I'm a fan of his game. He makes stuff happen. No one believes in him. And you're right. He would have went to the Super Bowl if he hadn't been hurt. Um, so I have Denver, being really good again. I have man, I have the Chargers.
Oh, in the top
Yeah.
10.
I like them,
Oh,
man. I'm kind of I'm gonna make good McDaniel. I'm a McDaniel guy,
okay.
and I think if Harbs just lets him do what he does, I can see Herbert taking another step.
Hmm.
I think we know about Greg Roman. He's too conservative. We know what was going to happen in LA because that was the OC.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be Daniel, man, the run game and his nuances in the passing game. I think if they can click, I think they're going to be really good. And then I have Green Bay, and I think I'm going. I was back and forth with San Fran and Jacksonville.
Mm,
So San Fran is going to be really good because they're really good all every year.
yeah,
They're going to win 11, 12 games. But
yeah, Kyle.
I'm I'm like you with Jacksonville, man. I'm not seeing them going backwards like
Me
that.
neither, man.
I'm looking at that division they're in, along with man. Trevor showed me something, and I don't see Trevor playing at that level and then regressing. Like no, I don't see that.
Yeah,
You get a weapon in Travis Hunter back. So you have some pieces. I love their head coach. I love the way he calls plays. The defense is always opportunistic. Like they play well. They don't have to be top five, but they play well enough. And again, I'm gonna mention the division. So you got Jacksonville, and you got Houston. Who's gonna win it? They're
mhm,
both gonna be at the top. I don't see any one of those teams bottoming out. I think Jacksonville is my number 10.
yeah. No, I'm with you on the Jacksonville front, particularly around Trevor Lawrence kind of making a change too. The one thing, and I think we'll be able to see this year with the Jaguars, is I worry about their consistency. Is just the immense amount of travel that they uniquely do as an organization.
Yeah.
Those two games back to back in London, and then they come back. They got the open week. They host the Colts, and then their three games after that at Baltimore, at Tennessee, at New York. So if you got to do three games in a row on the road, I would already bet, and this isn't me being a homer, whatever the line is on that game, they come to Baltimore. The Ravens will probably boat race them, and I think that's just a schedule loss. But being able to go
Yeah.
at Tennessee and at New York after that is pretty solid. Yeah, man, I think Jacksonville's here to stay, like you mentioned, especially another year of Travis Hunter being healthy, and then they also get to play the NFC East this year. So there's Philly in there, but you also
Mhm.
get the Giants. You get the Commanders.
You don't know what Cowboys team you're gonna get. You don't know how good Jaden Daniels is because he'll be healthy. You hope he would be healthy for the full year, but he only had one full year fully healthy. So
You don't. He's still pretty light in the behind too. That's somebody. There's a list of guys who I actually maybe I need to get on Instagram. He probably has done this. But there are a list of guys who I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I do want to see your off-season transformation photo.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Jaden
yeah.
Daniels is one of
You
them.
need to bulk up,
I
brother.
need to see the is your mama making you steaks and she won't let you go date somebody to make you a steak?
We saw when Lamar bulked up. He slimmed down, but we know it can happen and not affect like accuracy and things like that.
Yeah, he
Like
put that weight back on.
Jaden, you're still gonna be mobile.
So you're an elite. You're an elite world class athlete.
Yeah.
But these boys hitting you are not the boys at Arkansas.
Mhm.
Okay. um, and them and I
Right.
say that respectfully,
You're,
because them boys at
you're
Arkansas
not
can
rushing
hit.
for 200.
But exactly,
Yeah.
like it's not happening. Yeah, we'll come back and dive into the. I want to talk a little bit more about the Commanders too. I think that's an
Yeah.
interesting case study. But anyway, appreciate y'all joining us, man. This was a good week to dive into the reality television
Hmm.
aspect of football. Next week, I think we need to have a come to Jesus conversation about Nick Saban. Yeah,
He talked too
he
much.
talked.
This is what we're talking about.
I liked
I
you.
was supposed to adore him as a coach for the rest of my life.
Yes,
That's
and I knew you were like this.
yeah. But now he's yeah.
Anyway, what happened to the game we love? Hey man, make sure you like the video, subscribe, give us 5 stars, do all that stuff, share it with your homies, with your friends. Come back to us if you don't subscribe, if you don't rate us highly, if you don't leave comments that are nice and affirming and positive, you know what you are. Big face hater.
Big face hater.
I'll be back, y'all. I'll tell you.